Between Escrows. I am one of your hosts, Amy Scruggs, and this is
Roger Savvy, Ambassador of Optimism, and you surely have landed at the right place.
This is the show for you if you are interested in growing your relationship building, your sales, your understanding of your business, and how to grow and be stable and enjoy it with the Ambassador of Optimism. I am a branding coach. You are at the right place. We have amazing episodes coming up. You don't want to miss it.
Amy, good to see you again.
It's so good to see you. My favorite part of the week.
My favorite time of the week as well. And I want you to know today's meeting was put in my planner intentionally.
Excellent. Because I'm so glad you were also in mine, and I'm glad that I checked it.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that today, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And you know, the National Association of Realtors came out with a report just a couple of days ago with a stat that just blew my mind, Amy. They said for the first time ever, 46% of the transactions last year came from repeat business. That's up from 32% and up from 20% before, which tells me something. It's more difficult to work expireds and FSBOs because of the do not call list, the do not knock list now in New Jersey. All these things are making it that staying in contact with your past clients is probably the best thing to do, as you can see by the stat. And therefore, if you're not planning in your planner to speak to your past clients and your leads and your niche, you're going to miss the new trend, right? It is that important that you plan to be successful. Your thoughts?
First of all, there's my thought right there. That's it. Show's over. It's so true because so many people give up too soon, or they think, well, I talked to that person once. Well, maybe that person was busy at the time, or they had other things on their mind or something going on. And it's so important to realize that this is consistency. And I love saying being the steward of my calendar. And we're going to talk about that because it's a living, breathing thing. That's the best way to describe it.
It's a living, breathing thing. And we now are living in, Amy, an AI obsessed world. Everyone is obsessed with AI, and we are becoming more and more distracted. It is so important now that we become HI obsessed, human intelligence obsessed. And that means planning to be human in your planner, planning to talk to the people that are most important in your life. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's just serendipity, because we can be just distracted by the next AI lesson. The next AI suggests this. Next minute, we're experts on AI, no money in the bank.
Right.
It is time to realize that focusing and doubling down on HI, human intelligence, requires your planner so that you cannot be distracted, that you know what you're going to be doing for a certain portion of your day every day. And that reduces the anxiety when you know it's planned. And that's what you and I are going to talk about, this week at a glance planner where you take control. I know you do.
And if I'm frozen, I am totally sorry. Is my audio okay?
Your audio is fine, and you've just caught up. There you go. You're
okay. Right. So ignore everybody on this recording as we're dealing with new software. If I'm frozen, but as long as my audio is there, that's what matters. My calendar is everything, and not in a way that is, I want to say nerdy, but it keeps me in check and everyone else. Even if a family member says, hey, can you take the cat to the vet at this time? Hold on. I need to make sure it fits in. And if I've already really memorized my week, and if I know what's going on, it's much easier for me to answer that or say, no, that's not a good day for me. What I don't ever want to be is surprised any day of the week by something that I already knew about. Surprised with something I don't know about, that's different. But if I knew about it, I don't want to be surprised, because that's my responsibility to be the good steward of my calendar, to know a week ahead, this is how the moving components are. This is where it leaves room for my own health and wellness. This is where it leaves room to make those phone calls, which I know we're going to talk about. Leaving room. If I know it's a phone call that's going to be more lengthy, I'm going to leave that bigger length of time. If it's going to be a couple short, quick updates, I can schedule an hour that all of them fit into one session. And planning my week out allows me to breathe and flow and leave room for creativity and data dumps into my own brain, because then that's where I can grow and build. If I am playing catch up in my own life, I've already lost the battle.
Yep, you've already lost the battle. I trust everybody heard the wisdom, many of the things that you said there. One of them that struck me is when someone asks, can you do something? Or if you're saying, I'm just going to do something, the answer should be in your brain. The answer is no, until I've checked my planner. Because once you check your planner, then you can say, no, I was right. I can't do it now, but I can do it next week. And I'm not going to shortchange myself or double cross myself by putting in activities to do in my flex space, because then I give myself no latitude for things that run over, mistakes, time to catch up, time to regenerate, time to have lunch. You only do what's in your planner. And it's just so, so very important. And I love it that you mentioned that the answer is no, until you've checked your planner, because then you are wresting control back into your life.
Well, and it's that mindset even of showing the self-respect that my time is valuable. And even for my own family, no, I'm sorry, I can't get that till this and this and this time. It allows myself to have self-awareness, and it's reflecting that for growth, because no one wants to work with somebody that looks desperate or always available, right? There's a fine balance of showing somebody that I care about my own business and myself enough to say that this is how I run my schedule, which means that when I say yes to you, there's purpose behind it. There's going to be full engagement behind it. You're going to get that work ethic that I've committed to you. If you think I'm flighty or all over the place, then I'm not showing you my work ethic, or I am, and then that's a problem.
Exactly right. Just right. And if we could just take a couple of steps back, change gear as we give direction. I get in front of hundreds of real estate agents and, to a lesser degree, loan originators every week and month. And sometimes I say, show me how you track your time. And most people are very happy to show me their smartphone.
Yes.
And I say, right, show me what you're doing tomorrow. And they go, hang on a second. And it takes them about 30, 40 seconds to find out, to get to their planner. And then I say, no, not today, tomorrow. Oh, hang on, I've only got a day at a glance. I already know, in a world that is so distracted, some people have already decided, I'm busy, I've got to go, and they're waiting for you to find your planner. So I would like to suggest that in any way possible, at least try and find a setting on your phone with a week at a glance, because the strength of a standard week is such a great way for a professional influencer, salesperson to structure their week and to be able to say no with confidence, because they can see the whole week. So that's a very important point. But I'm also horrified when I say, how do you track your time? And people may show me their phone, they may show me a paper planner, which is fine. Appointments, rapidity. It's like tumbleweed blowing across, right? And then I realize they are not in control of their professional careers. So how do you feel about a paper-based planner versus your cell phone? Do you have any thoughts about that? Yes, that's me, paper-based.
Does that answer the question?
It answers the question. Yeah.
And yes, of course, it goes into my phone
Yes.
after it's in here. That's the secondary that allows me convenience. But I have to see 2 to 4 weeks at a glance. I have to. Because then I see a flow and I see it in these large chunks. And so there's the macro and the micro that I follow, and I need to see how all that flows through. And it allows me to organize and triage the big tasks, the small tasks. I always do small tasks first because they're easier. And you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now small stuff is done. Now you can have your mind around those bigger projects, those bigger phone calls, those bigger things. And so I have to visualize it in so many different capacities in order to be successful in my day, my week, my month.
Absolutely right. Again, you've made me think about, I think I saw a college professor giving this lecture on YouTube, but it was called The Big Rocks. The Big Rocks. And he took a container and he put the gravel in first, and then slightly larger stones, and then the big rocks, and they wouldn't fit. They wouldn't fit. And he just reversed the order. You put the big rocks in first, then the sand, then the pebbles, and then the fine stuff, and then everything fits in, which was a reminder. Do the big rocks first. In other words, what are the most important key priority initiatives in your life? And those get put into your week at a glance planner first, because then you know when you look at your planner, it's not just a busy week. It is structured for success on your big key priority initiatives. Those are non-negotiables. Those get put into your planner. And as our discussion goes on, we can talk about the specifics of that. But I'm so pleased we agree. What are your key priority initiatives? Are they in there? Week at a glance. You're in control. It's no first until you've checked that planner. And by the way, with my week at a glance planner, I've got one of those little chips that I've stapled and sealed on the back of the book, that in case I lose it, I can go back and track it. I will find that. I will find it. And you're right. I also have it in my smartphone as a fail-safe. But I will find that paper-based planner. It's got my name all over it. You have to be really mean not to want to return it to me.
Honestly. I find when I write things down, it commits to memory easier than typing it into my phone. When I physically pen to paper, write something down, it ingrains it. There's something magical about still old school pen to paper. Then I can convert it over to a digital format. Because I'm a nerd. I love everything digital and I love platforms. But the pen to paper is still the number one when I'm dealing with my most important things, stuff that I'm trying to commit to memory, memorize, anything like that. And when it comes to our scheduling, if you ask me, Amy, what are you doing at this time next Wednesday? I can tell you. What are the key largest chunks of the day? And when I reference the smaller stuff first, and can you hear me okay still?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. When I reference the small stuff, so let's say I know I have these big things in the day that have been on there, but oh no, I have to call my mom's doctor, or I have to do this, or I've got to remember I got to get the cans out to the curb, it's trash day, that kind of thing. Those things go first, so that I've cleared any of my domestic plate. And this I'm speaking a lot, especially the women who juggle getting the kids' backpacks ready for school and getting those different things that we're trying to juggle and also run a household or a family. The trash went out, the cat box is clean, the chores are done. So my mind is clear and focused on these professional projects and these relationships that I've been nurturing for so many years. And I'm not thinking about, is there milk in the fridge? Because I already know that I did that list this morning and wrote it down. I don't have to think about it again. So anything that's going to be noise and taking me away from my objectives and my calendar of the day gets done first.
Wow. So much wisdom there. And by the way, you always call yourself a nerd. You're the nicest nerd I've ever met. And just to remind you, or to remind myself, there's nothing in the time that I've got to know you. When you said, Roger, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, it's done on time, in the fashion that you said, and normally ahead of time, which reminds me, the opposite of forgetting what to do, because it's not written down, is not remembering. It's doing what you say you're going to do, as you said. And that builds an enormous amount of trust, because I know when Amy says, Roger, I'll have that to you by tomorrow morning, I know tomorrow morning it will be there, and probably at midnight. Not that I'm expecting you to work through the night, but
we all have our big hours. Yeah. Inspiration hours are at all different times for different people.
It's true. It's true. And so your planner and my planner represent, it's a reflection of our life. It's a reflection of how much control we have, and it's not just left up to serendipity, because there is a certain labor revenue exchange. You do labor, you get money back. And you should only program things in that planner that move money or advance relationships or enhance a relationship or get ready for a project to bring more relationships.
Yes.
Your planner represents the only thing that you have control of is the energy you put into certain portions of your week. Would you agree?
I completely agree. And I didn't know that people work otherwise. And I'm assuming anybody listening to this, you already do this, and it's just a refresher. So we're patting you on the back right now. Great job. But if you haven't established in your personal and professional life how to integrate the importance of these things in our day, and like Roger said, is this something that is going to grow my business? This is an activity that brings productivity, whatever that is. And we're in the business and in the planner. Even in my my time and my social media time, it's at a specific time, because I coach social media, because I run multiple platforms professionally. That is part of my day. And I have trained myself to make sure I don't go into a doom scrolling and I'll catch it. No, it has to be strategic and productive. This is social media time, and I'm doing it in order to grow visibility, in order to support someone's business, support my business, support elevated lending, whatever those things are. It's done strategically so that that time doesn't become a time of me getting lost or feeling guilty or going, did I just waste 2 hours? Very specific, even about my social media time, and it's on calendar.
What an important line you mentioned there, that you are using your social media time to advance the relationship as distinct from scrolling, which can be so easy to fall into that trap, because we are such a distracted nation because of AI and social media that we just start that doom scrolling, as they call it. And before you know what, 30 minutes, 40 minutes has gone by. I remember in the early days of me endeavoring to wrestle control of my time, I would program into my planner, my Microsoft Outlook planner, that randomly through the day, and I would do this, a message would come up. Are you wasting time? Are you following your planner? It would remind me to check myself, and it would come up at different times of the day. And many times I caught myself devaluing my time. Many times. Yeah.
If we devalue our time, how do we expect somebody else to respect it?
I know. And it sounds like such a trite thing to say, like such a logical thing, and I've heard that said so many times, but if one focuses on that, you realize it's so true. How do we expect other people to value our time, right, if we don't value our own? And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And at the end of the day, what's the one thing people always want more of? Time. What I wouldn't give for one more day with my father, right? More time. So if I'm looking at the time I'm using as a gift, then I'm more conscious about how I'm planning it, the wisdom of putting it together, and the strategy behind it.
So powerful. Wow. Amy, you're right. Each one of us, from the midnight on a Sunday, each one of us every week has got 168 hours. Whether you are a top producer, a whale, in no matter what industry, whether you are middle of the road, whether you're a rookie, each got 168 hours. What a gift. What a great leveler for all of us. What a gift. And then we squander it and squander it. And yet we want great things for our lives, right? What is the purpose of business? The purpose of business is to live an intentional life, the one we want. Therefore, be intentional about your time and where you put your energy, because we all think we've got time. We're out of time already. We're out of time already. As in that one particular incident with your dad, as you mentioned, we're out of time already with so many things. Don't do it to yourself. Grasp it, love it, think about it all the time. Be intentional. And that really excited me, what you said there. Thank you.
Thank you. And I feel like it's the number one most important practice in our business above all else. We can talk strategies, mindset, all that kind of thing, but the time, without time, we can't do any of it anyways. And without managing our time and understanding the value of it, putting in the right practices, we're setting yourself up for failure. I don't care how many degrees you have. If you have a PhD, I don't care how many connections you have. I can have 1,000 connections. If I don't manage my time, then none of them are of a value. How am I managing my time is the number one success point, because money will come and go. Companies may come and go. People come and go. My time is the one thing I can manage.
Yes. Time is the one thing you can manage. And Amy, which brings me to a point. We have this AI which distracts everybody. Technology comes in and people are trying to master the technology or use technology to do relationships for them, sort of set it and forget it at our peril. A reminder to all of us, whether you're new to us or whether you've seen us before, we are in the people business. And we've been in the people business since people started. And technology is not going to change that. AI is not going to change it. The more human we become and schedule human times, schedule conversations, schedule follow-up, schedule enhancement, this is where our 168 hours suddenly takes a life of its own, because we are being precious and good stewards, to use your phrase, Amy, of the time, the precious time that we're given.
Yes. It's, what I wouldn't give for another day of holding each one of my kids when they were young, another moment of sitting with them when they're just laughing and playing, right? I don't want to look back at this time and say the same thing. I want to say, no, I was present. I was there. I was productive with the things that I needed to do. I was present when I needed to be present. I hope that, like, even Roger, when you and I were to come together, neither one of us are distracted with other things. We're present. And I think that shows through in how we work together and the content in this show that we're doing. We're present. And taking that and applying that. There's a lot of hours in the day, everyone. There's a lot of hours in the day. I absolutely have to have my 8 hours sleep. This does not wake up well if it's less than that. I have to have my 2 hours of health time. I have to have no less than an hour of reading time a day. Well, that still leaves me 13 hours, 12, 13 hours. There's a lot you can do with that. And still cook dinner and still maybe watch your favorite show and still sit outside and watch the sunset and still have a very wonderful, healthy, productive day. And if even in a time, if it's a call that I know we just have to get down to discussing facts, it's maybe a quick, discussion of details, a follow-up, something, I'll make sure and say, hey, I've got 10 minutes. I just want to go over these updates for you real quick, because it could very quickly turn into a lot of how you doing and chit chat. And maybe that's not the time. That'll be the time that we meet for lunch. But I am very clear up front. I have 10 minutes. Here's the points we want to discuss. And I've never had somebody do a pushback or not respect me when I say I can give you 10 minutes. I can give you 15 minutes. That way phone calls don't get taken sideways and people know that your time matters.
Yep, a lot of wisdom in that too. When you set up the context, the framework, and say, all I've got is 10 minutes, you're right. People suddenly value your time more because they think you are busy. And therefore, there's something very alluring about being with a person who's got their life very organized. You're right.
Yes.
And you don't get pushback from that as well. I trust that all the people that are listening to us, Amy, will understand that as a society, we love being busy. And we often justify everything we do. I can't do it. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy.
Oh, that word.
Yeah. And the reason many times that they're busy is because they're not organized with their time, and they have confused busyness and productivity.
Yes,
they haven't worked out what the key priority initiatives are and leave out the busy work. I remember reading Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People.
Yes, excellent book.
And for the most part, we are always seem to be in quadrant 1, working on things that are important and urgent, because we're not setting aside any time to work on things that are important but not yet urgent. In other words, we've given no thought to the planning process. We just take day by day and just grind it out. Therefore, we end up just being busy and not focusing on the correct labor revenue exchange, because we've given no thought to this precious time that we've got. And I clearly sense that you are mastering this in your own career.
Well, you know, as a mom that raised 4 kids, so they're all adults now, but if I had not found a way, and I was in sales driving all over Southern California and wholesale lending when they were smaller than I was touring. If I did not use these strategies, I'm telling you, 2 of the kids would probably be sitting on a middle school curb somewhere, because I don't even know. I had to be organized. There had to be joy in the system of putting together the system. There had to be a group understanding, hey, this is what we've got going, and here's our playtime, and here's our this time, and this is when we're doing this, and I need your guys' support in this, and here's then when we're going to have this time. And we always discussed this scheduling in a very happy, positive way, so that they didn't feel pushed aside or shuffled either. They were engaged, and they were participants in our schedule. I remember one time my daughter in high school forgot her project at school, and she called me and said, I am so sorry. She needed it from home. And I said, honey, it's all right. We all make that mistake. You're lucky I'm in that hour of this time that was, I was doing email responses. I'm happy to bring that to you. And I let her give herself grace for forgetting that. And she was so respectful of my time and how I run my day, that she said she was worried about disappointing me. She wasn't afraid of being in trouble, because that's not my nature. And I said, no, it's perfect. There's always time to help you. That's a priority. And the rest of my day is just fine and laid out. You haven't hurt anything. And I always love that they paid attention to how I manage my day and respected it. And I see all of them applying that in their lives. And I'm very thankful.
Oh, you must be, Amy, that she was more disappointed in herself because she felt she had disappointed you. Mm-hmm. Just tells you something about your parenting. And you inculcated that at a very young age into your children. And that sets them up for success, as you said, because they watch how you managed your life, right? Yes. It's a reflection of you, that planner. Amy, would you mind commenting, because this is always very important to me, two concepts, the difference between working on your business and in your business, and how it relates to your planner, and the difference between morning and afternoon in your planner, and what should not be in the mornings, what should not be in the afternoons. I'd love your thoughts on that.
Mornings, I cannot be on to where we're doing a broadcast like this, or an interview, or something that has, really large topic importance, where I need to be all in. My morning has to be getting my health in order, making sure that's well. My morning is meditation and quiet, going through my systems and emails, making sure that anything from yesterday that might have been lopped over or something is taken care of, loose ends are tied up. I feel healthy and well and hydrated, because then I'm clear-minded. My household chores, things like that. The morning has to be, and if I have to get up at 5 a.m. to accommodate those things for an early day start, so be it. But I look at my day of when do I need my brain in full capacity, and I've got to start 4 hours before that with what I personally need to get there. Because the last thing I want to do is stumble out of bed and have to be on, and then now I've disappointed somebody because I really wasn't all there. So calculating what are my best brain times, what are my most articulate times, when am I in my best creative space, and planning my day, morning or afternoon, based on what I know my regulator says it should be. Because I'm more creative in the evening. So if I have a creative project, or I need to work on new graphics, or editing, or different things, or music, that's going to go in the evening, because that's when my brain can relax and be creative. If I need to be more admin, that's in the morning. Engaged and actual appointments and with people, middle of the day. So I had to figure out what my operating system was in order to create that system for me. Somebody else might be the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But finding my best algorithm in myself allowed me to set that. And then I know I'm working on my business in the mornings when I'm doing admin or paperwork or paying bills or handling this or that. And then I'm all in my business when those appointments come, when it's time to be on. And I think part of that's probably the performer in me. You go on stage in the evening, right?
Oh, there was so much good stuff in what you said there. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm going to respond the best way I can. Thinking about salespeople, title, escrow, pharmaceuticals, realtors, lenders, working on and in your business are two things, concepts to really get into your brain. Amy, you and I agree that working on your business is literally bringing people and conversations onto your radar screen. When you work on your business, you are reaching out, working your data bank, which is a better word than database, everyone. Working your data bank, following up with leads, hot list, cool list, and doing prospecting and sales in the morning, because it's never, ever a leftover activity. Working on your business is always done, for the most part, for salespeople in the morning, because the afternoons in real estate and lending are chaos. And if they're not chaos, you're not in real estate and lending. You're not doing your job. So do the prospecting in the morning, and prospecting is never a leftover activity, because a day that you don't prospect is a day you're unemployed. So working on your business in the morning's very, very important. Enhancing relationships, advancing, checking in, keeping consistently in contact with those people that are most important to you. And in the afternoon, the work is working in. And you're quite right. In the mornings, in the middays, coffee dates, tea dates, following up, lunches, one-to-ones. Afternoon, working in your business, the current transactions you've got, appraisals, inspections, listing appointments, negotiations. That's afternoon stuff. That's working in your business. And you've been a lender, a wholesale rep, all these things. Would you agree? Have you seen the same things?
Yes, in this industry, absolutely. And especially with real estate and lending, you've got caravans in the morning. So you're going and you're setting up, you're seeing properties, you're prospecting, and you're right. The afternoon then is chaos, or you've scheduled those lunch meetings, or you're putting out fires from last conditions that you're trying to get cleared, and reaching those companies, talking to the title reps, all that kind of stuff. And I think you're right. Knowing what your industry is and when those hot points are.
Yep.
And knowing then when you have that time in it, says, this is my prospecting. This is when I do my follow-up. This is when this takes place, and creating those habits that you do over and over and over and over again, consistency being the key, and appropriate with your industry and how it flows.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back for a moment, if I may, to something you mentioned earlier, which struck me, and I certainly know it's part of my day, and it was really nice to hear that you're the same way. The first thing in the morning is move the body for me. Move your body, move your mind. And so in that first part of my day, which, by the way, is planned in my planner, because in my planner, there's that time block which says personal mastery. And in those, from the time I wake to the time I start my official day, you will notice in my week at a glance planner, it'll go from 5 to 9, those 4 hours, or 5 to 8, or those 3 hours, is for Roger to wake up and say my affirmations, say nice things about myself, eat something nutritious, stay away from the Pop-Tarts, drink a massive glass of water because you are dehydrated from the night before. Don't drink coffee, which dehydrates you even further. Coffee later, right? The water, yeah. What are you going to? Yes, the water, always the water. Okay, the macronutrient. And as you pour water on your brain, it wakes your brain up. Your reticular activator is suddenly woken up, and everything important to you comes to mind. How much money in the bank, that beautiful spouse sleeping next to you, the kitties in the next room, the kitties that have left the nest. All those things suddenly come aware. And so when my alarm goes off in the morning, feet out of the bed by a count of 5. Otherwise, you're going to hit snooze, snooze, and it's going to be like, what's that movie with Bill Murray?
Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog's Day. So you can't hit snooze. You get out of bed.
You have to get up.
That's right. You drink the water, eat something healthy, say some nice things, move your body for 20, 30 minutes, because when you move your body, you move your mind, right?
Yes.
And then what book are you reading? Maybe read 10 pages of your book in the morning and 10 pages of your book at night. Those could be like the bookends of your day, right? And you'll be surprised how many books you get through. So by the time work starts, Amy is in peak state. Roger is in peak state. And I'm ready for what the world brings. I am not disrespecting myself. I am ready for what the world brings.
Yes.
So there's your first time block in your planner. Peak state, personal excellence time. I heard you say that earlier.
Yes. I have 30 ounces of water every morning before the coffee. I do my morning stretches and affirmations. I do body movement, the vibration plate. I do my journaling, my meditation. All of that comes first. So I feel just clear and alive and awake and grateful. My brain is channeled. If something comes into my brain, like, oh, remember to, I have a notebook next to me. So all I have to do is simply just put it right in that notebook. And then I don't have to get chaos brain. And it just allows that day, and like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. And it's brilliant. And you're right. The hydration is everything.
Hydration is everything.
And the breakfast has to start with protein, has to start something that's feeding the body, not taking away from it.
Yep. And I've got a little whiteboard on my refrigerator. And I come back from having whether been on the Peloton or a run, or whether it's some weights, and I write on the whiteboard, loved my 1 hour of workout this morning, even though it might have only been 30 minutes. If I write 1 hour, my brain will believe it. It wants to believe the 1 hour.
Yes.
And you can play games with your mind as well, but move that body, right? And then suddenly comes the next phase of that planner, Amy. It's time to start work. So after that personal mastery, a line across your week at a glance, time to bump into the universe, time to prospect, time for sales, time for influence, whatever you want to call it. Give it a name. You don't have to be boring. But that morning now starts with calling your leads, because it's about speed to lead, right? So new leads, you call them first. You call them first. And then afterwards, you start calling people that have given you business before, advocates that speak you up when you're not in the room, and at least decide, I do 2 emails, 2 voicemails, 2 personalized notes to past clients and advocates. It's only 6 people a day, but it's 6 times, that's 30 people by the end of the week. That's
Absolutely.
120 by the end of the month. But that consistency, right?
It's consistency. Consistency. And next thing you know, you won't remember ever doing it any other way. You won't remember a life before being the master of your calendar and being consistent. You won't know a time before, and you're going to see the fruits in your life in all aspects, in your relationships, in your health. You're going to see it in your business. You're going to see it in those new connections and in opportunities. How can we allow new opportunities to come in if we're already crammed so full and chaotic? You've left no space for it. You've got to leave room, and discipline is the only way that the room is there.
So much wisdom there again. And you reminded me, and I don't want to make this too long for people watching this, but you reminded me, because many times agents, loan officers, realtors, we wake up going, there's a deal falling apart, or whatever it is blowing up. And the first thing you want to do is go to problems and call and try and save. I want you to know, speed to lead first, then your past clients that have trusted you with their business, then your advocates, then the problems. The problems will be there, but get the positive energy out first, then go to your problems if you have to. And many times, by the time you get to the problem,
it's resolved
someone
itself.
else on your team has resolved it. Yes.
Yes. Oh, we've seen that. I always go, that'll work. Yep, solutions. I'm gonna let that marinate and see what solutions come in before I make it my problem.
Yes. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And for all you parents out there with adult kids, that's literally the secret to managing a big family. Let them marinate on that a little bit and see what they come up with before this becomes my problem.
Yeah, how fantastic.
And I save myself. I love it. Yeah. Roger, I am just so full of joy right now.
Me too. And I feel it.
I'm so thankful, because some of this is just how I've always worked, and you have such strategy and purpose on it as well. And it was reconfirming. It also always reminds me and puts me in check of, like, where can I fine tune? Because what ends up happening is I get more Amy time to read a book, or I get more Amy time to enjoy the sunset, because I was a steward of my calendar. I'm actually happier with more space because of these practices and consistency.
Well, thank you, Amy. And I feel exactly the same way with you. And again, it's nice to share these ideas with someone else who's like-minded, to realize I wasn't alone with my thoughts. And I see how you implement and live your life, and that you lead with passion and energy, but it's managed well because you're in control of your time. And I get inspiration from you as well.
Yay!
Yeah.
And Roger, I have way too much fun with the buttons. This was powerful. Another great episode of Between Escrows. If you're just following the show, if you're just listening, wherever you're consuming your amazing podcast content, we are going to be here for a long time. We've got more shows just like this, where we hope to encourage you, inspire you. We hope to open up your mind to new possibilities, to new skills, and to new hope and belief in what can be possible in your business and in your life. And that's what we're here for. Roger, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy.